Well, you're gonna have fun trying to look for all the organs, but yeah, they're all dismembered. Yeah.
So you just the body too?
Yeah.
Well, what did you do with the body parts?
They're in the house.
Somewhere?
They're like, yeah.
Basement, upstairs, downstairs?
Absolutely in the basement, out in our room. And then, I know I forgot the head. I wanted the head.
A dramatic scene unfolded in a Kentucky courtroom when a mother lunged at the man accused of murdering her 2 sons.
No.
You will be held in contempt of this court if you become disruptive.
But Miss Hardwick does not back down, and she doesn't shut up.
I haven't done anything to this court. I haven't done anything to him.
She will be arrested for contempt of the court.
It doesn't make any difference.
You will serve 10 days for contempt of court.
Most people who have any sense at all know that it is very important to be on your best behavior while in a courtroom. This is probably one of the most serious situations you could possibly find yourself in, and one wrong move can land you in a whole lot more trouble than you ever were in to begin with. You are supposed to stand when you are told to stand, and sit when you are told to sit. You should never speak unless you've been told to do so. But sometimes tensions rise in the courtroom and some people just can't keep their tempers under check. The following stories are of 3 women who lost their cool and attacked people while in the courtroom. One attacked her own lawyer, the other attacked the man who killed her 2 sons, and the last one attacked the judge. Stay tuned to see just how the courtroom reacted to these violent outbursts and find out where these women are today.
An accused killer attacked her own attorney in court. Taylor Schabusiness is accused of killing and mutilating her boyfriend a year ago in Wisconsin.
Taylor Schabusiness is one messed up lady. In February of 2022, while under the influence of illegal substances, she brutally killed her 22-year-old boyfriend, Shad Thyrion. To make matters even more horrific, she did this in the basement of her mother's home in Green Bay. Taylor removed parts of his body and then moved them all around, putting some in the house and others in a vehicle. The next part is so disturbing that it's almost hard to wrap your head around. Of all people, it was tragically Shad's mother that discovered what had happened after she went to the basement of her home and discovered her son's head sitting in a bucket. She told her boyfriend and he called 911 to report it, asking that an officer come out immediately. This is part of that 911 call.
My friend just woke me up and swears that she found her head of her son in the basement.
Imagine being woken up in the dead of sleep, only to be told that there's a severed head in the basement below you. That's what this man was trying to process during the 911 call.
Okay, tell me what's happening there again.
I have no clue what's happening. My girl swears that she's found her head of her son in the basement.
Did you go down there?
In a bucket. I went down, I can't tell what bucket. Pardon my language, I'm kind of a little freaked out.
The dispatcher attempts to work with the man to piece together what could have happened, but he appears completely confused. But he does acknowledge that a girl that he didn't know well had been in the house earlier. We now know that girl was Taylor.
Whose head is it?
She's claiming it's her son.
How old is her son?
24, 25?
Has he been missing, or?
No, he was here yesterday with some chick, and then all of a sudden nobody's here.
Officers arrived at the scene not long after the 911 call came through. The whole interaction was captured on body cam footage. Watch as they immediately noticed something suspicious on the ground. As they bent down to try to determine what it was, they were startled when someone flashed the lights of a car parked right next to them.
Is this blood? Does this look like blood to you? Or am I just tripping? Bloody footprint? You see this right here? Could possibly be blood.
Footprints on the path.
Hey, who did that?
It was then that they saw a dark figure standing outside one of the nearby apartments, and they realized that it was Taylor. They wasted no time in handcuffing her.
Taylor, how's it going? Officer Russell with the Green Bay Police Department. Just make sure you ain't got nothing on you here.
The video of Taylor's arrest was played in court. After this, the arresting officer was questioned about what happened after he took Taylor into custody.
Placed her in interview room 3, I believe, where I had Officer Kenny assist me with taking photographs of what looked like smeared blood on her hands and on her clothing. I also had her remove the sweatshirt that had what appeared to be blood on it, as well as her socks and her shoes.
After Taylor was arrested, other members of law enforcement went inside the home where they spoke to both Shad's mother and his girlfriend. They both appeared to be in a state of shock over the discovery from the basement, the head in a bucket covered up with a towel.
I opened the towel, I picked up the towel and dropped it because I don't know what the f*** it is, man. I had bad vision. And she's like, is that what I think? I don't know. What the fuck is it?
After speaking with them, officers descended into the basement. At first, it looks pretty normal, just a cluttered area being used for storage. It's hard to imagine what actually happened down there. But then they could be heard muttering expletives as they came across the bucket. One officer continued to shine his light bulb at the contents of the bucket, trying to wrap his head around what he was seeing. He then asked the other officer to take a second look to confirm what they both suspected it was.
Okay. Hold on, just... That's real enough.
They then called for backup, noting that there was a significant amount of blood in the basement. While in court, he was asked later about this.
After you observed the bucket, it appeared that you walked around the basement area of the residence, is that right?
Yes, it did.
At that point, did you see any other parts of a human body?
No other parts of a human body, no.
Did you notice any areas of potential blood?
Yes.
And where was that?
Beyond the stack of mattresses, there appeared to be blood on the floor and then small chunks of human flesh.
Back at the station, a detective questioned Taylor about the events that transpired before Shad's murder. She admitted that they had been using illegal substances at the time before they began messing around. She also admitted that they sometimes enjoyed using things like chains when they were getting together, something that she claims Shad enjoyed.
Was anybody home? Did you encounter anybody? I understand his mom lives here.
Tara?
Taylor.
I don't know. Is that the mom's name?
Yes.
Damn, the head. I can't believe I let the head go.
Where'd you do the body?
The body's there.
As she spoke, it seemed as if Taylor was slowly piecing together things that she had done that night that she had totally forgotten about. She also seemed to be incredibly calm for someone who had just been arrested for brutal murder. But then, maybe the most unsettling thing is the cold and emotionless way she talks about the hunt that law enforcement will have to go on in order to find the rest of Shad's remains. She even talks about being disappointed that she wasn't able to keep certain body parts as souvenirs.
Well, you're gonna have fun trying to look for all the organs, but yeah, they're all dismembered. Yeah.
So you just the body too?
Yeah.
Well, what did you do with the body parts?
Oh, they're in the house.
Somewhere?
They're like, yeah.
Basement, upstairs, downstairs?
Absolutely in the basement. I was gonna bring them with them. And then, I know I forgot the head. I wanted the head.
She then went on to explain how she dismembered Shad's body using 4 knives that she took from his mother's own kitchen. All the while, she seems perfectly calm. There is no doubt that Taylor is a complete psychopath. But aside from that, there was still one major question remaining. Why did Taylor do this? What was her motivation?
Did you want Shad to be dead?
No, it was out of random. Like, I wasn't expecting that, and it kind of threw me off guard. And it was in an open place, you know, like, you went in the basement, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty open.
Well, I haven't done it, but is it?
Yeah. So, like, it was weird. It was really weird.
But if Taylor never actually wanted to see Shad die, why did she never attempt to get him medical supervision after things had clearly gone too far in the beginning?
It happened so fast.
So then after you realized he was no longer, he was dead, his face was purple, he said his mouth, blood was going out of his mouth. What'd you do?
clean them up a little bit. And then, I just played with them like that.
As horrific as it sounds, here Taylor is admitting that she took advantage of Shad's body after killing him, but before she began dismembering. This will add on to her already lengthy and horrific list of crimes that she committed that night. On February 14th of 2023, Taylor was sitting alongside her lawyer, Quinn Jolly, in Quinn County Courtroom when she absolutely lost her mind, jumped out of the seat, and tried to hit Quinn in the face. He was able to block the attack with both hands, but it took a lot of effort for the court officer to get her restrained. Take a look.
The 25-year-old was in court for a hearing when she attacked her defense attorney as he was sitting next to her. A court officer pulled her to the ground, but the defendant made it difficult for him to restrain her.
We're in the courtroom.
Even after the guard managed to get her down to the ground, Taylor continued to flail around so violently that she even kicked her orange prison slides off in the process. Luckily, the attorney was uninjured. However, after this incident, he did ask to withdraw and not be Taylor's lawyer anymore, understandably. The judge agreed and allowed him to remove himself. She was then assigned a new lawyer.
Schabusiness is still undergoing evaluations by mental health professionals to determine if she's competent to stand trial. She's charged with first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and third-degree sexual assault. She has pleaded not guilty by reason of mental disease or defect.
Taylor made it clear from the beginning that she had no intention of behaving while in the courtroom. In fact, at one point, Taylor even attempted to spit at people in court, which is why during her sentencing, she appeared wearing this strange contraption. This, which is called a spit guard, is used to keep law enforcement, court officials, and everyone else who may be around the prisoner free of disease if she were to try and spit on someone again. Prior to the judge handing down Taylor's official sentence, members of the victim's family were given the opportunity to speak. Shad's uncle was one of the ones who took this opportunity. He pointed out that a lot of people like Taylor struggled with substance use. However, that doesn't mean that you can go around doing whatever you want and still expect to get away with it.
You don't, I don't care if it's drugs or upbringing, you know. We all go through hard times growing up, at least the majority of us have. You have the opportunity to change that. You have the opportunity to, see that you have a problem. I've been in recovery a little over 3 years. In AA, I drank for 41 years. I realized I had a problem.
He didn't hold back when telling Taylor exactly how he felt about the way that she had handled things.
It's just, basically to me, you took the easy way out. You did the most cowardly, weakest things that you could do possible. You meet a person in school, you say he's your friend, you become friends, become girlfriend, boyfriend, lovers, gain his trust of an innocent person that's very kind, would do anything for you.
He finished his statement by telling Taylor that he hoped she would spend the rest of her life in prison and die there. Ultimately, it was up to the judge to decide her final fate. Keep in mind that this was the very same judge that watched Taylor's courtroom antics since the beginning. This included her courtroom attack and her continued smirks and smiles. He began by discussing Taylor's background. Unlike a lot of other people who end up turning into sadistic killers, Taylor's early life was fairly stable. She was loved well by her family members. It was later on that things went awry when her mother and brother ended up passing away suddenly.
She's worked in this community. I read over the pre-sentence investigation report that I ordered, and that outlined some work experience that she has, and I think that's a favorable character trait because, quite frankly, not everyone that lives in this community does work, and I think it indicates someone who wants to get out and support themselves and not make anybody else do it.
Finally, the judge did what everyone was waiting on and expecting. He locked Taylor up and threw away the key.
It's the decision of this court and the judgment of the law that Ms. Schabusiness be sentenced as follows. As to in 22 CF 363, count 1, that's the first-degree intentional homicide as a repeater. It's a Class A felony. I'm going to impose life imprisonment without the possibility of extended supervision. I believe that's appropriate in light of the findings that I've already made.
There is no chance that Taylor will ever be a free woman again. One aspect of this story that is also shocking is that Taylor happens to be a wife and mother. At the time of the crime, she was reportedly married to a man named Warren Shabo. She also had a 2-year-old at the time named Mateo. If there is any possible way to look on the bright side when it comes to this case, it is that this innocent child will never have to fear being harmed by his birth mother.
A dramatic scene unfolded in a Kentucky courtroom when a mother lunged at the man accused of murdering her 2 sons.
In May of 2016, Bryce Rhodes allegedly took the lives of 2 young children. Their names were Larry Ordway and Maurice Gordon. Both of the boys were killed in Louisville, Kentucky. You might be wondering, what did these teens do to be treated in such a way? Nothing, except witness a murder.
Triple murder suspect Bryce Rhodes walked back into a Jefferson County courtroom today with a judge ruling he is competent to stand trial.
As WDRB's Darby Bean tells us, it was a hearing the defense tried to keep the public and the media out of, but it remained open.
The man that Bryce was accused of killing first was Christopher Jones.
It's a case that's been pending since 2016. Bryce Rhodes is accused of killing 3 people, including 2 teenage boys. He's been in and out of the courtroom several times, known for his outbursts at previous hearings. This case was set to go to trial in January of 2022, but Rhodes' attorney asked for a competency evaluation.
If it was decided that Bryce was not mentally competent, he might have been able to avoid a trial entirely. Ultimately, though, this is not what the judge decided.
Now, Judge Julie Kalin ruled Friday that Rhodes is competent and set a trial date for December 11th, 2023.
There has been no conclusive testimony that he is incompetent.
The hearing lasted more than 2 hours and included arguments from both the Commonwealth and defense, as well as testimony from other witnesses.
Even Tom Griffiths, Bryce's personal attorney, asked the judge if it would be possible to testify for Bryce about his mental competency. The judge said no.
Strange words coming out of my mouth, Judge. I'm the last witness for the defense. The court having ruled that I'm not able to testify, that's all the witnesses that we have.
During final arguments, the Commonwealth asked the court to find Rhodes competent for trial.
He made comments about the court process that shows that he does understand what's going on. He understands the challenges that he faces.
Now, Bryce certainly has not been the ideal kind of person for a lawyer to have to defend, but at this point, Tom Griffiths is determined.
But the defense argued otherwise.
He has run off multiple attorneys, Judge. It does not make him a competent person because I haven't quit him. He will not speak to me, as is in the record, and hasn't for years.
Still, Judge Kalin ruled Rhodes can stand trial.
I don't believe that any of the evidence through testimony today is conclusive that Mr. Rhodes isn't just making the decision to not participate with his attorneys. I don't think that necessarily makes him incompetent.
Let's look at some of the ways Bryce showed crazy levels of disrespect to the courtroom process since the very beginning. Check out this clip from the very beginning of court proceedings where he nods along and smiles as the prosecutor and judge discuss certain aspects of the trial. He even seems to blow a kiss to the prosecutor, while his former attorney tries to tell him to stop. He also pretends to dust off his shoulder and pretend that nothing is being said to bother him. He further infuriated people in the courtroom by turning around and smirking at the victim's mother.
Can we do a fair trial in Jefferson County? But then another part of it is, if we have a concern, what's the alternative? Because then if we might get into a situation on the law where I'm supposed to weigh the pros and the cons.
This level of disrespect was more than the mother of the 2 victims could stand. She spoke out in court, causing the judge to give her a warning. He told her that if she continued to speak out of turn in court, that she would likely get kicked out. He also told her that her reaction was exactly what Bryce was looking for.
Ma'am,
Look at me.
Ma'am,
He keeps turning.
Ma'am, I told you once before, let me please help you understand. You can't just talk out like that, okay? If you can't handle him looking at you respectfully, all I can tell you to do is don't be in my courtroom, because he's going to keep doing it, particularly now that he knows that it irritates you. So you either are able to control yourself or you're not. And I would understand why you could not. I get that completely. But I can't have you talking up in court.
While these may seem like harsh words for a woman grieving the loss of her 2 sons, the judge also had some for the accused killer as well.
Yes. All right, Mr. Rhodes, you're smiling. I don't know why you're smiling.
Because I can.
Well?
Because I can. It's not a crime to smell.
It's not a crime to
Continue
smile.
what you were saying.
But it doesn't help you, all right, to irritate people.
All right.
And you have a lot at stake in this case.
It's not a crime to smell, is it?
I didn't say you were committing a crime.
then.
I'm saying you're
Continue
not
what you were
helping
saying.
yourself.
This certainly was not the last time that Bryce was rude to the judge or one of the people representing him.
Accused triple murderer threatens a Louisville judge while claiming his own attorneys are racist. WDRB's Travis Ragsdale shows us what happened and why some believe he's playing the system. Travis.
Another day in court with Bryce Rhodes and another wild day with cursing and outbursts.
Your job is to do your job, not to worry about me. That's what I'm saying.
At one point, he even threatened the judge.
You're gonna find out, though. You're gonna find out real quick. Promise that.
Bryce tried to tell the judge that detectives were framing him for the 2016 murders. The defense tried their best to push back the trial, but Judge Callan remained firm in her decision that it will take place as scheduled in 2023.
Rhodes spoke at the end of that hearing saying he wanted new attorneys, but he did not want to represent himself. He also argued that his case should be dismissed because of police misconduct, but Judge Callan said there is no evidence of police wrongdoing in the case.
You know, we spent so many years talking about the court proceedings with Bryce Rhodes. Sometimes I think it can overshadow that there were kids who were heinously killed in this incident.
Eventually, it was determined that Bryce is mentally disabled and has an extremely low IQ. Due to his incredibly low level of intellectual functioning, he will not be eligible for the death penalty. This is probably not the outcome that the 2 victims' mothers were hoping for. Watch as Mary Wren attempts to make a lunge at her son's killer in court.
Marie Wren was dragged away by court officers. She says she couldn't control herself when she saw Bryce Rhodes. He's accused of stabbing her sons and burning their bodies back in 2016. They were 14 and 16 at the time.
Listen as Marie Wren discusses what made her react in court this way.
Nobody gonna sit in court and hold their composure and have a demon turn around and laugh about them killing their kids.
Rhodes is the only defendant left to face a possible trial in the case, according to reports. 3 others have taken plea deals, but this grieving mother says she is determined to get justice for her son.
Marie Wren says that she isn't going to rest until she makes sure that people who harmed her young sons get what they deserve. But at the same time, she is struggling to try and forgive for the sake of her own soul, which has been heavy ever since all of this happened.
Sunday you go to church and you pray and you try to forgive. The anger still builds up in your soul.
But the judge issued the mother a warning to control herself or stay home. Rhodes pleaded not guilty to the charges against him, which include murder and assault.
As of October 2023, the trial has not yet occurred. However, there is pretty much no chance at all that this man is ever going to be released. What sort of punishment do you think a man that killed 3 people, including 2 children, should face? Let us know in the comments.
My personal life is
No.
your business.
But before he could even get 1 to 2 sentences into his testimony, Melissa Hardwick has already begun to interrupt.
Imagine going to court to try to convince the judge that your wife is an abuser, only for her to prove it in front of everyone. That is exactly what Nancy Hardwick did by trying to attack a judge. The judge gave Nancy several chances to sit down and be quiet, but she didn't take them.
No.
You will be held in contempt of this court if you become disruptive.
But Ms. Hardwick does not back down, and she doesn't shut up.
I haven't done anything to this court. I haven't done anything to him.
She will be arrested for contempt of the court.
It doesn't make any difference.
You will serve 10 days for contempt of court.
As soon as Nancy learned that she was about to be thrown in jail, she freaked out and attempted to jump over the judge's desk to get to her. The judge barely batted an eye as deputies rushed to take her down and a quick scuffle unfolded. Nancy doesn't quit putting up a fight.
Get off of me!
Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back.
We hear her yelling and flapping around on the ground, demanding that they let her go. And the judge is just kind of sitting there looking at her, like, told you.
Even as she is about to be led away, she still has the nerve to throw one last threat at the judge.
So Ms. Hardwick decides to make her matters worse by threatening a judge, not even realizing that that could be a total separate charge.
After Nancy is led away, the judge announces to the courtroom that she will have to remove herself from the case because a new judge will need to be appointed. This is due to the threats that Nancy made against her, which will lead to new criminal charges. Nancy Hardwick was eventually charged with terrorist threats, intimidating a judge, and resisting arrest. It was actually in her favor that she never actually was able to lay a finger on the judge. If she had, she would have been looking at some major jail time. Instead, all she got was 5 years of probation and mandatory mental health evaluation and anger management courses. Does this seem like a pretty minor sentence to anyone else? Especially considering the threats she made? Meanwhile, her husband was able to get his emergency protective order against her, which was why he went to court to begin with. If there is one thing that all three of these women have proven, it's that acting out in court always does more harm than good. It's also clear that being able to keep your emotions in check, no matter what the circumstances are, is always going to be in your favor while in the courtroom. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more.